You're hoping if you spin the chamber enough times, you're gonna catch a bullet.
It's just easy that way.
This is an extraction.
So who are the players?
Biggest drug lord in India versus biggest drug lord in Bangladesh.
Some mythic shit, huh?
It's a kidnapping. Drug lord's son. Clock's running at 16 hours. Proof of life as of 6 hours ago.
You want to survive, you do exactly as I say.
Who are you?
Name?
Ovi.
Move fast, stay low.
Something's wrong. The city's on lockdown.
Yeah, no shit!
The job is fucked, Tyler. Tyler.
Just find my money. That kid is a walking corpse, and there's no way to protect him.
You have a family.
Yeah, son. He died a few years ago.
The best thing you could do for that kid would be to put a bullet in his brain.
We can send a chopper and get you out. But you gotta leave the kid behind.
Are you gonna leave me in the street?
I'll get you home. Grab a hold of my vest and hang on as tight as you can. Kid, you trust me?
No.
Good.
Are you always this brave?
I'm not brave.
You rescue people?
Sometimes. Sometimes I do other things.
I'm back watching 30 movies. I'm back doing 30 podcasts. This is the 9th year of movie month. Please listen all June. All June. You take a movie that stars an actor really well known for being in Marvel movies. You put him in a movie that's actually based on a graphic novel. That's actually co-written by the Russo brothers, who do a lot of Marvel stuff. And yet, it took me over 2 years to see this movie. This movie came out on April 24th, 2020. and I am just seeing it today for the first time, based on the graphic novel Ciudad by Ande Parks, from a story by Anthony and Joe Russo starring Chris Hemsworth. I watched today Extraction. Happy movie month, everybody. Happy day 25. The final Saturday of movie month. We are coming close to the end, the final weekend. After tomorrow, then on Monday, my wife gets, I can't speak English. She goes and gets an injection in her back. On Tuesday, we lay low. On Wednesday, we head up to my mother-in-law's. Very exciting. And then on Thursday is the final day of movie month. And then on Friday, Stranger Things comes back, and I go crazy again. But that is the week ahead. Today, let's just focus on Extraction. I love this movie. I have really nothing negative to say about it. The only thing that I'll say negative about it is in IMDb, Chris Hemsworth is the number one top billed star, followed by the twin boys who played his son in a flashback. Then we get to the kid who played Ovi, then a few other characters who I'm not sure of their names, and then we get to the guy who played Saju. Those really were the three stars of this movie. The basis of the movie is fairly simple. There are two drug lords who are kind of rivals. Was it Bangladesh and India, I believe? And this kid is the son of one of them who's in prison. The other one goes and kidnaps him for ransom to pay up, to basically embarrass the other drug lord. The way this kid, you met him, he goes to school, pretty normal kid, normal teenage kid, except he's supposed to come home straight from school, and you see he lives in this really rich house, and he's got this guy's like, your father says to come home straight from school, but we never see the father right away. But then he sneaks out at night. You see he's kind of lonely in this big house by himself. He sneaks out at night, and these two police officers come up, and they're like, you shouldn't be out here. His friend was smoking a little ganja, and he says, you have a long life ahead of you. And then, boom, kills his friend right in front of him. Oh, by the way, I'm spoiling this. Kills his friend right in front of this kid and takes this kid. This kid has now been kidnapped for ransom, and really it's just it's a job for this group of mercenaries who get called in to take care of things like this. And Chris Hemsworth, although he's kind of he's kind of a laid back, kind of a drunk, the way they find him at the beginning, he's just hanging out with some dudes, drinking, jumping off cliffs. He's like, I'm here, I'm ready to do the job. He does the job. And it's one of these things where this guy's the best because guess what? He's the best at it. And so much happens. It's a little confusing because what we find out is this group of people are going to get this kid out. Chris Hemsworth does that with the help of a few other people. It was awesome. And then they're about to, it seemed like, oh, that was easy, kill a few people, bing, bang, boom, you're on your way. And then they're about to, make the drop, get paid, money's not coming through. They realize, oh my goodness, we're being double-crossed. And then you see the guy who works for the father, who's who kind of, he's not the nanny for the kid. He's not that kind of guy, but he's in the day-to-day while the dad's in prison. He kind of runs the day-to-day stuff right out of the dad's house, this guy, Saju. And you feel like you trust this guy. You think you do because you wouldn't right away, except you get brought to his family. You meet his wife, his kid. You see him I have to do this. My life depends on it. I mean, obviously he works for a criminal, so that he's not on the up and up. But the crime boss he met him in jail. He's like, you do this like your family's life depends on it, because their life does depend on it. If you want your family to live, you get my son back, you hire whatever you need to do. So he hires the Chris Hemsworth group. But at the same time, he's trying to double cross them. This was confusing to me, because at the same time, the other drug dealer he owns all the police, he owns the local government, and this colonel, and he's throwing everything at them to get the kid back. And at the same time, I think this guy, at first I thought he was working with a group of people. It was either a small group or he's on his own trying to take him himself to get all the glory. I think that's what he wanted to do, to get all the glory for himself. That's my understanding. What it leads to is an amazing action piece, sequence, whatever you want to call it, where I know it wasn't all one shot. You could see, if you're looking for it, you can kind of see the seams. You could see these moments where you get really close up, or the camera pans, and you kind of, it looks a little too smooth, or like a shirt gets really close to the screen and then pulls away. Moments like this, someone walks in front of the screen. But it was so well done and so kinetic, I think, because it just kept going and going, and the camera followed like you over cliffs, into things, like through cars. I mean, it was, at first I thought, am I seeing this right now? Even this car chase where we're in the car, we're out of the car, we're staying in the car, we're just watching the road ahead of us. It felt practical, it felt real, and I appreciate these things. Now, maybe it's because the director is a stunt coordinator. Like, he's more known for a stunt coordinator. Sam Hargrave, this, if I'm correct, this is his first feature as a director. He's been a stunt coordinator forever. He's actually in this movie as one of the guys on Chris Hemsworth's team. The dude with the beard, who they call, I think they call G or something like that. He is the director of this movie, and you could tell that things were put in, like were taken great. I'm trying to find the word. Detail was taken for these stunts, these fights. Like, it wasn't just your run-of-the-mill things you see. It tried to do things that felt really unique, things, angles, ways, like camera following that you may not have seen before. At one point, he pushes the kid to another building. He jumps to another building. The camera comes with him. I mean, we've seen things like that before, but just those little things, people getting hit by cars, and like, whoa, and then getting up, and then other cars. I mean, there was some lightheartedness to this. At one point, a group of kids attacks him, and these are kids. These are kids on the street who are kind of forced into this life, and he doesn't kill any of them, but he beats the shit out of just about all of them. And I love that he takes it lightly on them. In other words, if these were grown men, bang, 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 they'd all be dead. Because these are kids and teenagers, he just beats the crap out of all of them. He calls them the Goonies from hell later. We do get some really holy shit moments with these kids. At one point, there's a group of kids with the drug dealer and like his second in command. And this guy's like, who took the money? Who is it? Nobody's going to talk. He picks one kid up and throws him off the building, killing the kid. I mean, I went, holy shit, what the hell am I watching when I saw that? That's where it felt really real. And another thing about this, even though it was, directed by an American guy, I'm assuming he's American, and co-written by two American brothers. I don't know who. It sounds like the original comic has a Spanish name, and perhaps in the guy who wrote it has a Spanish name. So maybe he's from Spain or Mexico, or which would make it a Mexican name. But my point is that even though some of the key players are American, and the star of the movie, he's not American, he's Australian, but he's a Hollywood star, it felt like a very much more international type movie. I mean, a lot of it was in subtitles. A lot of it was, with most of it took place, if not all of it took place in Bangladesh, where they spoke their own language. And these weren't like all well-known actors. They were just actors from, in their own country, but it just felt like, I'm thinking, why wouldn't I watch a movie like this if it was all in subtitles without Chris Hemsworth? Like, there's probably so many movies out there that I'm missing that are in, because they're international movies, they might not be all that well known. And Chris, you can only suggest so many, but it's just it just made me think, wow, there's a whole other world out there. Even though this is technically a Hollywood Netflix movie with a Hollywood star in it, it just made me think of that the fact that there are so many other, there's a whole other world of cinema that isn't Hollywood out there. And it just made me think, wow, like at certain points I'm thinking, there's nobody really that famous in this besides Chris Hemsworth. We have David Harbour from Stranger Things, Black Widow, that guy, Hellboy. He's always great. He's just always great. And he was in it for 5-10 minutes, and he was great, and you loved him, and then you hated him. And but the star of the movie was this kid who played Ovi. He was great, and that kind of gave the movie this realism, this heart that you may not have gotten without him, or with a shitty performance. I mean, he was there to kind of level. Not level, but just keep things even keel, because there's this kid who can't do any of these things, who isn't some, not, quote unquote, super soldier, and he can't, and he was a good actor, and him and Hemsworth together were good. You take that plus really good action, really good effects. I love action effects where they don't look like action effects. A lot of things, if to me I'm going, wait, is that practical or digital? That means it's a success. Because sometimes you're like, oh, that's definitely digital, and who cares? Because anybody could do that. The way they did this movie, I was just like, wow, I don't know if how they did that. That tells me it's a good stunt and it's a good effect. And here's the thing, and of course the director, being this guy who this is his first movie, yes, give this guy more action to do. He knows what he's doing with this stuff, and it's a roaring success for me all around. Now, what I like is at one point you think that the guy who worked for the kid's dad was evil and you're against him. Then you see him talking to his family. After him and Hemsworth, don't kill each other, they get away. You see him talking to his family, telling his wife he loves her, telling his kid he loves him, saying, I'll be home. And it's like, wait a second, what are we doing here? We're giving this guy sympathy. We're giving this guy a persona. And then you realize he just wanted to get the kid to his father himself. He hired this guy, but he didn't trust him, I guess. He wanted the glory. He and Hemsworth end up working together. And I'm like, yes, give me this team. I want these guys working together and doing shit for 7 movies. Doesn't work out that way. The way this movie ended, you weren't sure if either one would be back for any movie. Well, for sure one guy's not going to be back, because the guy he finally teamed up with, he takes one in the head. Bing, bang, boom. But there's this woman who kind of coordinates things, hires Chris Hemsworth at the beginning. Was it Drake? What the hell's his name? I can't remember the character's name already. But he hires him at the beginning, and he kind of oversees the the job. Later, she comes in and she has a rifle. Now, there's this general working for the other drug dealer who's a trained marksman, and he's really laid back and boom, and he's taking people out from so far away. Well, he's almost going to get Hemsworth, and this woman, you see her get her gun, line it up, and you're just watching, and you're like seeing her looking, and then you see she has that guy in her scope. Boom, takes his head right off. I cheered. I went, yes, when that happened. So that's telling me this movie is succeeding on all fronts for me. Tyler Rake, that's what his name is. Tyler Rake. The kid's like, isn't that a gardening tool? It's a weird name. You don't look like a Tyler. You look like a Brad. I don't know if that was a Brad Pitt joke. But also, Hemsworth didn't look like he looks huge when he's Thor. So I don't know if that's effects. I don't know if he bulks up, but he looked a lot thinner in this movie. But I'm sure he'll look huge in Thor 4 when that comes out. All around, just a nice win. Now, at the end, you think, you assume he's going to die. He gets shot in the neck. He falls into this water. But they have this whole thing is, you don't drown falling in the water. You drown not getting out of the water, which is kind of a way of saying, you could fall, but get back up. You can always get back up. If you can get back up, get back up. And we see him fall. We don't see him come back. You think he's probably dead. He gets shot by one of those little Goonie kids. It's like, oh my God, this kid who's full force working for the drug dealer. At one point, the drug dealer tells him to chop off his fingers. He doesn't, but then later he does it anyway to show his loyalty to him. That kid is like fully brainwashed. And that's a lot of the times that's how these crime families work. They bring someone in, they brainwash them, they treat them good, and boom, they treat them out of fear. Next thing you know, you get this guy working for you. So it fades out. He falls in the water. They get the kid away. The kid goes back to his life, and the other drug dealer is like, well, I'm living my life now. He's in a parade. Everything's good. He goes to dinner. He goes to the bathroom. He looks, and next to him is the woman. She brings up her handgun, pew, pew, shoots him once, shoots him again. He's gone. At the same time, we see the kid at his school, and he jumps in the water, and he has that same feeling where he's lying in the water, thinking. Then he opens his eyes, comes out, and when he comes out of the water, who do you see in the background? You see it. They don't bring it into focus, but you see this big white dude. You'd have to assume that's Tyler Rake. That's Chris Hemsworth. You have to assume he's alive, and you have to assume he's alive because he's going to be back in Extraction 2, directed by Sam Hargrave, where they had the hashtag Rake lives. So, or Rake is alive. I forget, one or the other. So they're trying to really make this guy a thing. Tyler Rake. Well, you know what? If I saw the trailer first, that little teaser first, I would have said, who the hell's Rake? After watching this movie, I'm like, yes, he is alive. Bring him back and make him kill a bunch of other people, please. Pretty please. Yes, 2 big thumbs up. Really enjoyed this movie, and I am looking forward to the sequel, which I will be covering probably next year if this comes out by then, which I think it will. It looks like it's in post-production right now. So that is it, my friends. I am out of here. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Geek Mentality. The Facebook page is Fans Not Experts. The website is fansnotexperts.com. This is day 25. Extraction, Chris Hemsworth, 2 big thumbs up. Really enjoyed it. And until tomorrow, until the last Sunday, until day 26, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. And here is my theme song. This is my podcast. I made it. Geek Mentality's what I named it. And I think you should listen and subscribe, 'cause I'm kinda funny and awesome. I think that I'm worth your time, and I'm kinda handsome. My mom says, please listen and please subscribe. At least listen to this episode. Fans Not Experts.